Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Welcome to our channel. Today's topic is building biological wealth. And I wanted to show a really good comparison today. There's the farm that we have, and that's never been plowed or disked or anything. It was in trees, brush. That was in brush encroachment. It was all covered with eastern red cedar. And when I bought that from my relatives years back, I went in and took out the eastern red cedar and left the oak trees for shade trees. And we do have a cedar grove right over there for winter. If they need what we call an outdoor barn, they can get in those cedars and get in and out of the wind. And then on the east over there, there's a whole line of cedars they can get up against. But anyway, back to the biological wealth of your land, and that's what I think. You have a product to sell, of course, and that's meat, but also your future. The future you're going to leave for your children, or maybe some other person, whether it's significant others in your family, and maybe it's your grandchildren. I don't know, but this is the other side of it. So this is just a row cropper that is right next to us. And I want you to look out there and tell me how much solar energy they're collecting on that land. See, this is the way this land will stay all winter long. And it's looked like this for about a month. And it's just in November. So you got basically October, November, December, January, February, March, and part of April. So that's 6.5 months that you're doing this to your property. There's nothing there. There's a little bean stubble. That's not any organic matter to talk about at all. So he's not capturing any biological wealth, period. Matter of fact, after the winter, you can come in here and a lot of this dirt is moved over there into my driveway. I've got a little driveway. It used to go back to no house right there. And you can see the dirt coming off this field in layers, because I sat below him. Okay, but look at what we're doing over here. We got the ground covered. There's green plants out there, and there'll be green plants in there all winter long, courtesy of fescue. There's clover in there, orchard grass, timothy, bluegrass, red top, big blue stem, and a whole host of weeds, different kinds of weeds. But the animals, that's the missing link. If I was a row cropper and I looked at this and I'm like, wait a minute, I've got 6.5 months of my property looking like this. What do you think is going to happen here when it gets the rain? You see anything here that's going to collect rain and hold it? Absolutely not. There's nothing here. Go across the fence where you got ruminant animals grazing, trampling, defecating, urinating. Something that's been happening ever since the earth has been around and animals were on it. Thousands and thousands of years. And yeah, we've got ruminants out here and they're healing the land. That's a healthy landscape out there. There's deer, there's turkey, there's all kinds of different varieties of birds. That's why we've got 450 bird houses up, because we can collect the birds. Birds love being around the cattle because of the flies and the insects. So we give them a place to live. We got brush piles teeming with rabbits and mice and bobcats and you name it, coyotes, possums, coons, skunks. Yes, I said skunks. We got several skunks around here. They don't bother us. But it's all about that web of life. I want you to, now we're going to make a circle. How much life you see out there? Is there anything for life to set up shop in? Or where can they make a living from the environment that nature's going to throw at them this winter? Do you think a rabbit can live out there? How about a coyote? Or can a deer? Can a deer make a bed in there and survive an ice storm? Don't think so. So it's all about building biology in the soil, and the biology starts with a ruminant animal. So all these folks are saying, oh, we got to get cows off the planet. They're destroying the planet. They're nuts. They've been fed a lie. They've been fed a vicious lie. It's completely opposite that. It's the only tool we have left on the planet that can heal it, is right there. Folks, if we take these animals off these pastures and landscapes, put them all up, in a feedlot, we're all in trouble. Because we can sequester carbon, put it back into the soil where it belongs with those ruminant animals out there. All the while, without plowing, disking, mowing, herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, you name it, putting all this stuff in the land. And this is just a natural system. It's a natural system. All we do is move a wire. The boys and I moved 370 head this morning, and it took us about 4 minutes, and got out of their way. They did all the work, and now they're doing all the work out there. They're grazing. And those animals are well conditioned. I'll even go out on a limb and say they're fat. People hate me using that word. I don't care, they're fat. And when I say fat, I mean it in a good sense. They're not obese, they're just really well conditioned, because we got minus 20, minus 30 degree weather coming this winter below. And those animals need some condition on them to make it through the winter. Because these cows have to wean their own calf. We don't wean. So we've been doing that for 17 years. The cows wean their calves. The ones that don't, we get rid of them. But there is a ton of biological wealth out there in front of us in that soil, in the form of healthy microbes, earthworms, centipedes, there's spiders, amphibians, everything. It's all out there. And that life in your soil, we call it biological wealth, the microbes, that's why there's grass out there for them to eat. That's the only reason it's out there. And over here, this gets sprayed with glyphosate, because these are Roundup Ready soybeans. So you can spray Roundup on the beans. It doesn't kill the beans, but it nukes everything else. And you got to do that twice a year now, because the beans, or the weeds, have become resistant to the glyphosate. And now they're coming out with a stronger one. Oh boy. That's the way to do it. Get a bigger, meaner something to kill something. Instead of working with nature and healing the land, it seems like we want to go the other way. And I don't understand that. But, that's why a lot of people have to farm, 10, 15,000 acres today to make a living on it, because the input cost is so high. And the input cost here is nothing. We got a piece of polywire and an ATV. An ATV is kind of a luxury. I mean, you wouldn't have to have it. I didn't have it starting out. Jan and I walked. We packed the manure on our backs to the animals. That's what we did, because we couldn't afford to buy an ATV. Didn't have the money to buy it. So I think sometimes, having a lot of disposable income can be a curse, because you go out and just start throwing money at everything because you have the money, and next thing you know, you went through all your money and you're not making anything. And there's an old saying in ranching: the best way to make a small fortune in ranching is to start with a large fortune. There's a lot of truth to that. I've seen a lot of people just spend a lot of money on useless things. The cattle didn't ask you to spend that money on them. They didn't need it, but you thought you needed it. So go back to the soil. Look at that. Hear that rip, rip? As a grazer, that's a wonderful sound to be listening to. But we're going to give these cows a half a bale. They don't need it far as, to fill up, but I want them to be able to self-medicate themselves. So go out and look at your cows. If you got runny tails on them and you got a lot of clover in your pastures, just give them a little bit of hay, and it doesn't take too much. I mean, we're talking 370 head here, and we're only going to give them half of a bale. we're talking, 600 pounds of hay unrolled right here in this old roadway. And we'll get some biological nutrients put down in this roadway, kind of help heal it. And the animals can come over and get them just a little bit of bite. That's what they get, just a little bit of bite of dry matter. And you won't have runny tails. If your tails are runny on your cows, you're getting too much protein, or you're making them eat the grass down too short. The shorter you graze the grass, the more protein you get in your animals, the worse they do. They can lose weight when that tail gets real running. You don't want them losing weight going into wintertime. So if you had, let's say you had 25 cows, I'd go out there and give them, on 25 cows, I'd give them maybe half of a square bale. Just spread out the flakes where everybody can get a little bite. They only need about 2 or 3 bites, that's it. And everybody can get a little bit of dry matter. And if you're not getting consumption on it, in other words, they're not eating it, either your hay is crap or they don't need it. One of the two. You got something else going on. You might have parasites in your animals because you made them graze the grass too short. If they've got parasites and you got a runny tail on them, dry hay is not going to fix that. If you got too much protein, you're making them eat the grass down too short, a little dry hay would certainly help. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to go out here and enjoy my cows today, kind of walk through them. This is my favorite time of the day. And we'll see y'all down the road. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button on the way out and that like. I'd really appreciate it. And everyone have a great one.